This week at Big Creek, I served the community and I learned how little things can have a big impact. And I'm thankful for this week because God opened my eyes and did a lot for me.
I learned this week that I need to be more grateful for what I had, because when we went to God's closet, we were sorting clothes that had mildew all over them, and these people would come in and they'd take them for what they were, and they wouldn't care. They'd be grateful for what they had, and I thought that impacted me a bunch.
What impacted me the most this week was when our group, we went to an adult daycare center for people with disabilities, and we were all talking to this man named Creed, and he was in this really bad car wreck, and he had lost 35% of his brain, and afterwards his wife left him and took his kids, and so everything started to fall apart for him, and he was going through a really hard time. And then afterwards he said he had met Jesus, and he said he was a lot happier than he had been before, and it just really touched me.
You've won me heart and soul, and where you lead I'll go. I wanna be where you are. From the moment I rise to the moment I sleep, my affection is for you, and even as I dream, I wanna know you. I'm after your heart. I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Oh.
This week I served children at Hyden Park, and we just fed them lunch and taught them Bible stories and just showed them the love of Christ. And this week has really made an impact on my life and just showing us how we can serve Christ every day of our lives and others.
This week at Big Creek Missions, I worked with the kids, and I think the most impacting thing was it was raining most of the day on Thursday, and we asked them if they want to play hide and go seek, and they were all so excited about just playing hide and go seek. And I just think that was really cool how they just really wanted somebody to play with them, and and I also thought it was cool how they knew so much and that we could really learn from them.
Well, one thing that I really loved about this Kentucky trip is just the fact that I got to play with 20 to 30 kids that I never even have ever met before, 2 or 3 states away. And one thing I've realized is that I would rather show a kid Christ's love by pushing them on the merry-go-round dozens of times, giving them piggyback rides, or as a matter of fact, trying to fit on the tiny little playground that some of those kids wanted me to fit on. And I'll be honest, I'm still hurting a little bit physically, but I would rather show them God's love and show them the love that they most definitely deserve, and maybe a little bit of pain. I'd rather it be the other way around.
This week at Big Creek, what impacted me the most was sharing the love of Christ with all the kids and seeing how excited they were to learn about Jesus.
Face to face with the younger me. All of the mistakes, all of the heartbreak, here's what I do differently.
it's hard to walk. Everybody knows it, everybody knows. It takes a soldier who knows his orders to walk the walk I'm supposed to walk.
This week at Big Creek Missions, we went to Michelle's house and we built her a deck and a roof, and it really impacted me is that she really appreciated what we did, and she really just wanted someone to talk to. She talked to us. She made us lunch one day. She'd sit there for a couple hours and just talk to us.
The most impacting part I thought was Mr. Wade, our homeowner. He didn't really have much, but what he did have, he was really thankful for. He was pretty proud of how hard he worked just for the little mobile home he had. He built the house next door, and he was just telling us how grateful he was what God had given him. It might not have been much, but at least he had what he had. And he was so grateful that we just got out there and built not even much of a deck, just a little 8x10.
The most important and impacting thing on me this week was probably the fact that we have so much. I was with Andrew's group, Mr. Wade. He had close to nothing, and he was still very grateful for it. That just really put things into perspective for me of how better off a lot of us are, but we just still take everything for granted that we have, and that's going to really make a change when I go back home.
The most impacting thing to me this week was our homeowner, Mr. Wade. I was in Heath's and Andrew's group. He worked in the coal mining industry for 30-some years, I want to say. He inquired for disability about 4 different times by 4 different doctors. And he was just so grateful for what he had. He worked so hard for it, and it was just a little single-wide trailer. I went inside his house with Andrew and another guy in our group, Brody, and I was just looking inside how everything was so compacted together. The living room led into the dining room and everything, but he was proud of that. He didn't stay inside the entire time. He communicated with us. He even helped us some. I've never seen that man gripe about anything we were doing. He just cherished us so much. And even his sister, Lois, I think her name was, she gave us popsicles, watermelon, ice cream, 3 days, like popsicles and so on, every day. So that was really cool. And she just loved the job we did on her front deck, and how they actually have steps on the front deck now. Because when we got there, they didn't. And we actually got started on the back part, but we didn't finish it. But Mr. Wade was just such a cool guy and such a nice spirited man.
I think the most impacting part for me on this trip was that hanging out with our homeowner, Mr. Wade. I think that was just great because he was so interactive with us. He helped us out even. Wasn't too afraid to get on a ladder or anything. Sister Lois, she brought us popsicles, ice cream, watermelon. You know, I got to taste the inside of a watermelon. You know, it was just awesome hanging out with all them guys out there. And I think when I go back to North Carolina, it will make me think, like, how can I help out my community? How can I help my neighborhood, you know? That's the most impactful part for me.
And love like I'm not scared. Give when it's not fair. Live life for another. Take time for a brother. Fight for the weak ones. Speak out for freedom. Find faith in the battle. Stand tall but above it all.
This week really brought me closer to God. I think that this really impacted me a lot because of the worship, the worships in the gym, and going out and helping people and meeting new people, and just that we helped a lot of different people and hopefully brought them closer to God.
This week At Bay Creek, I learned that I don't need to just go away for a week in the year to serve others, but I can do it through my daily life.
So this week I thought it was really cool how we got to meet kids from different states that were in my group, and we got to talk about how their youth group was set up and like what their walk in Christ was like. I just thought it was really cool how I got to get to know them.
This week at Big Creek, I learned to trust God fully and do everything for the glory of Him and not pick up volleyballs covered in poison.
This week has helped me to open up and be a better witness to people that may or may not know Jesus. Kevin's been challenging us all week to just show more love to the people, even if we don't finish our jobs, just to show them Jesus and Christ-like love and be a better example to them. One thing that stuck out to me was that sometimes we come out here and sometimes we do it for ourselves. And we don't even realize it, but sometimes we do this to make ourselves feel better. But really we need to do it all for God and give all the glory to Him.
This week, this mission trip to Big Creek made me realize that it's a lot easier than I thought it was to bring up God or Jesus or going to church in a conversation with someone that doesn't believe, that you don't know very well as a non-believer. Like at the job site this week, it was like our leader Cameron challenged us to go and talk to Michelle, who was the lady we were working for, and I just realized how much easier than it was than I thought, just to mention church to her and just to relate to her with that, and I just thought that was pretty cool.
Alright, this week at Big Creek Missions, I learned a couple things. I asked the pastor, I guess you could say, I asked him what an apostle was, but he didn't remember. And I figured out that was somebody that had actually seen Jesus, God, and I got saved this week at Big Creek Missions. It was a blessing from Jesus. And yeah.
Fix my eyes.